Welcome back to MADMAN Review. This is your host, Mike. Ever wonder if AR-15s are really a big threat in our country? Or is it basically the same as the M16 or M4? And what's the deal with those 223 or 5.56 bullets? Do they go boom on impact, or are they no deadlier than your average 22 caliber? Well, in this video, we're going to dive into some of the lies around the AR-15 propagated by both camps, pro and anti-2A. Just a quick disclaimer in case any of you YouTube bigwigs are watching. Nothing I say in this video is meant to stir up violence or anything like that. So let's start with the Pro 2A community's lies. Pro gun lie number 1. AR-15's 22 caliber bullets are harmless. Sure, if you measure it with a caliper, a 223 round is kinda similar in size to a 22. But when it comes to ballistics, that's where things get different. The 223 packs a punch way beyond what a 22 can do. So let's drop the act of downplaying the danger of these guns and their ammo. And then there are those pro-Second Amendment folks who like to compare the 223 to handgun calibers like a 45 ACP or a 9mm, saying, look at this tiny bullet, compared to these big scary ones. Truth is, the 223's terminal ballistics are way more intense than what you get with a 45 or a 9mm. It's a lethal round, and that's why folks argue for protecting the right to own it. You see, there are some solid reasons why the military and law enforcement roll with the 5.56. It's lightweight, for easy carry, but it still packs a serious punch. Now, the 223 might be a tad weaker than the 5.56, but it's still way more potent than most pistol calibers out there. Pro gun lie number 2. Machine guns are illegal. This is in response to libtards demanding that the AR should be illegalized because they are machine guns. Here's the thing. Machine guns aren't technically illegal. They are on the books as legal stuff. But, and it's a big but, the hoops you gotta jump through to own one are way more complicated and intrusive than your regular non-NFA items. Plus, owning a machine gun can put a serious dent in your bank account, so in practice, you could argue they're off limits for most of us. That's all for pro-gun lies. Let's now talk about anti-gunners' lies. Anti-gun lie number 1, the AR-15, is a weapon of war. Our retarded VP, Kamala Harris, loves to say it is, but nope, it's not a weapon of war. Sadly, there are pro-2A people who ride this BS. They're mostly the know-it-all crowd, you know? Folks who think they're the only smart ones and everyone else is dumb. One of them even argues that the AR-15 and the M16 are basically the same thing, like this clown from the Defenders and Disciples channel. He said, quote, functionally, the M16 has the capability to go fully automatic, whereas the AR-15 only does semi-automatic. However, the M16 is rarely, if ever, used in fully automatic mode in the military, unless you're doing like an ammo dump. So that basically means that the M16 is only used in semi-automatic mode. And if the automatic or semi-automatic is the only difference between the two, then they're practically speaking the same thing. Nope. You're wrong there, bud. Just because two things are used the same way doesn't mean they are practically the same. For example, laptops and desktop computers serve the same purpose, computing. They can run the same software and perform similar tasks. However, they are not practically the same. Laptops are portable, have built-in screens and keyboards, and are designed for mobility at the cost of lower performance, while desktop computers are stationary but offer more power and customization options. If you want a lower electric bill or you want your desktop PC to live longer, you can undervolt/underclock its CPU and GPU, make it perform much like a laptop. But are they practically the same? Nope. Or how about a bicycle and an e-bike? Both have two wheels to get you from point A to point B. You cruise around in a seated position, and both have pedals. If you choose to, You can pedal your e-bike just like a regular bike to conserve battery juice or if you just want to do some cardio. But are they practically the same? Nope. The difference lies in the potential. Just because military men often shoot their M16 in semi-auto doesn't mean it's practically the same as the AR-15. Think about it. If they didn't need the full auto mode given by the M16 or the M4, why didn't the USMC just arm themselves with AR-15s? It would mean significant savings, and since it's practically the same as their M4 or even their latest and greatest XM7, i.e. the SIG MCX, it's not like they'd feel undergun, is it? Anti-gun lie number 2, AR-15s are a serious threat to public safety. Regardless of its chambering, if it resembles an M4 or an M16, libtards automatically view it as a serious threat to public safety, and it's based on their belief that ARs are the go-to choice in most mass shootings, and they assume that mass shootings make up a substantial chunk of all gun-related deaths in the U.S. Anti-gun lie number 3, the 223 or 5.56 explodes inside the body. Hold on a sec, that's not quite the case. You see, neither the 223 nor the 5.56 bullet goes boom when it hits a human body. It might break apart if it hits bones, but explode? Nah, that's not how it works. Plus, lots of different caliber bullets can fragment under certain situations. Anti-gun lie number 4, AR stands for assault rifle. Now, let's straighten this one out. Despite what some folks on the other side might think, AR doesn't stand for assault rifle or automatic rifle. Nope, it's actually short for Armalite rifle. Armalite was the original company that made the AR-15. But try telling this to libtards and they'll insist AR means assault rifle. Now, if we rewind to World War II, the first real assault rifle was the Sturmgewehr 44. And it was Hitler who gave it that name. In German, Sturmgewehr means storm rifle. Sturm was tied to Sturmtruppen, which literally means storm troopers, German military units assembled for direct, full-on frontal attacks rather than flank or rear attacks. Over in the US, the term assault rifle popped up in reports during World War II's Pacific campaign, but it wasn't used by itself. You'd see phrases like assault rifle company or assault rifle platoon. So the bottom line here is that an assault weapon is a type of military firearm designed for full frontal attacks. It wasn't designed to assault anyone, let alone be used for mass shootings. Anti-gun lie number 5. AR-15s are the top choice for mass shooters. Let's take a step back and think about what usually comes to mind when we hear mass shooting. Most of us picture a scenario where some individual goes into a crowded place with an AR-15 and intent on causing widespread harm, injuring or killing dozens of people. It's almost like that image has been drilled into our heads by politicians and the media. Now, consider the stats. I'm talking about the year-to-year tally of mass shooting incidents gathered by the Gun Violence Archive, or GVA. They state that from 2014 to 2019, there was a total of 2,089 mass shootings. Now, if you're like me, those numbers might look off. They're not. They're kind of accurate, but it all depends on how you define a mass shooting. The GBA defines it as 4 or more people being injured or killed. In my opinion, 4 people being killed shouldn't be considered a mass shooting. But regardless, the AR-15 was only part of a thin slice of what these people qualify as mass shootings. Let's check out Statista's report from September 5, 2023. According to them, handguns take the crown as the most common weapon type used in U.S. mass shootings. Between 1982 and August 2023, there were 165 different handguns used in 115 incidents, out of a total of 147 reported mass shootings. That means handguns were involved in 78.23% of these incidents. And that doesn't automatically mean AR-15s were involved in the remaining 21.77%. Other guns could have been used: shotguns, lever-action rifles, etc. Anti-gun lie number 6. America is safer with AR-15's ban. You've probably heard this one repeatedly, but instead of echoing the typical response from pro-Second Amendment advocates, let's delve into the motivation behind this misleading claim. Ever heard of the Violence Policy Center? They're one of many anti-gun libtard organizations in the country. On their website is a long write-up on their 3-pronged plan of attack, which we'll include a link to below. First, it introduced a new angle to what has become old news: a handgun ban. Despite handguns causing over 20,000 deaths annually, anti-gunners know that a handgun ban remains a non-issue for the majority of legislators, the media, and the public. This is because all their previous efforts to ban handguns have failed. In fact, they only started their campaign against assault weapons after realizing that they'll never succeed in banning handguns. Oh, and by the way, our neighbors up north now can't have handguns, thanks to their very own Marxist soy boy, Justin Trudeau. He managed to do what these anti-gunners have been struggling with in the past 4 decades. But I digress. A handgun ban won't succeed in the States due to various factors, including the influence of the NRA, the tendency for both sides to rely on slogans and prepackaged arguments, the perception that handgun violence is an unsolvable problem, and their inability to make themselves as an electoral threat. But an assault weapons ban remains a fresh topic. The AR-15's intimidating appearance, combined with the public's confusion on machine guns versus semi-automatic rifles, where anything resembling a machine gun is often assumed to be one, could garner more public support for restrictions on these weapons. Also, not a lot of people see the practicality of owning an AR-15. Second, they expect that the NRA advocating against assault weapon bans will create a rift between them and the police. They think police organizations have historically considered the gun lobby, especially the NRA, as an ally, partly due to the NRA's involvement in police training and its reputation for promoting gun safety and hunting education. But throughout the 80s, the NRA increasingly found itself at odds with the police on gun control issues. Their opposition to legislation prohibiting armor-piercing rounds, Glocks, and so-called assault weapons, along with their support for the McClure-Volkmer handgun decontrol bill, strained their relationship with the police. As a response to this, the police established the Law Enforcement Steering Committee, which now endorses measures such as waiting periods with background checks for handgun purchases and bans on machine guns and plastic guns. If the police continue to call for restrictions on assault weapons, while the NRA opposes those calls, it's likely to further tarnish the NRA's public image, not only among the general public, but also among cops and NRA members. Today, instead of being perceived as a champion of 2A, the NRA is now seen as a defender of evil AR-15s. Third, pushing for an assault weapon ban is more likely to succeed compared to a handgun ban because many Americans still consider handguns as effective tools for home defense. Additionally, a significant portion of the population doesn't understand the Second Amendment, but when it comes to so-called assault weapons, people see them in the same category as machine guns, which pose a far significant risk that compromising what they see as an unimportant constitutional right becomes acceptable. True enough, Clinton managed to sneakily pass the 1994 assault weapons ban,